Having a number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart is a massive accomplishment for any artist. It shows you the type of impact a track will have on the population and what it will do for the music community. So today we're going to talk about that exact thing, but the rappers who have never had a number one spot on this list. And there's a lot of surprising ones because you're going to have rappers on here that have had longevity. You're going to have rappers on here that have had, massive songs go 6 times platinum, but never reached that number one spot. So guys, listen, thank you so much for coming into the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we'll keep you updated on everything hip hop in the industry. So reviews, reactions, top 10 lists, you name it, we do it. And talking about, this list now and everyone that didn't get one, do you think that number one spot means a lot for an artist, and why should it mean a lot for an artist?
I think it matters just because there's only a select amount of artists that have achieved it, and it's kind of the biggest a song could ever get in terms of a statistic, let's say, having that number one spot, dominating, all across the nation. And for this list, we only included artists who have not had solo number one songs. So for example, if an artist was featured on a song that went number one, it doesn't count. They're still eligible for this list because they didn't have their own number one as a solo artist. So let's get it started, man. At number 10, we actually have Lil Baby, who has had over like 90 entries in the Billboard Hot 100. He had songs like Yes Indeed with Drake, which have gone like 6 times platinum, but yet never cracked that number one spot.
The closest he's ever gotten to it was actually with The Bigger Picture that peaked at number 3. And then even at that, you want to know who he lost out to? Trolls by 6ix9ine and Rockstar by DaBaby.
He should have gotten it.
No, absolutely. He should have been at that number one spot. But it just goes to show sometimes how most of these, artists that try to get that number one, the song quality is sometimes really not there. Like example, like who's really bumping Trolls by 6ix9ine at this point?
I think it was
and who's bumping, The Bigger Picture by Lil Baby right now? Like it's a complete difference in matchup.
I think Trolls had the biggest fall off for a number one that we've ever seen. Like it just goes to show that nowadays it's kind of about like that instant hype, like okay, everyone's bumping the night it comes out and then never again. You know what I mean? It's kind of that crazy parallel that goes on. But with Lil Baby, it's surprising because even if you look at how big his feature run has been, was featured on The Off Season by J. Cole, Pride is a Devil, one of the highest charting songs, went number 7. Featured on Hurricane from Donda, that one peaked at number 6. If you look at Girls Want Girls off of CLB, that peaked at number 2. Wants and Needs also peaked at number 2. So it's crazy to see that Lil Baby hasn't gotten it even as a feature artist, but it's a matter of time. Like he's gonna get that number one, and he deserves to.
Absolutely, and it's mind blowing to see the peak that he's reached as an artist, but he still doesn't have one. But let's actually move on to number 9, and this is an original pick. Like Lou and I were trying to include some diversity in this list, and I want to talk about Tyler the Creator because he's never had a number one song, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, it's normal," he has more of a niche fan base. But this guy's putting up some of the best first week sales in the industry right now. He's been active for over a decade. He has a very extensive catalog, and this guy's selling out international tours. So for me, it's like, what really is stopping him from getting that number one? Plus, like, he's able to go into pop, he's able to go into different genres that usually are able to get that number one. So I don't even think it's a hip-hop thing at this point.
It's weird, yeah, because like take a song like Earthquake. I think that's his highest charting song, peaked at number 13 on the Hot 100, but it didn't go above and beyond. And I guess it's because Tyler's style is so unique. It's not for everybody. Like I feel like Tyler's music speaks to a lot of people, and every album is amazing. Every album is so different, but maybe the masses can't grab onto it as a whole. You know what I'm trying to say? It is a shame, of course.
Like people should recognize Tyler's, let's say craft. But even at that, like I think Tyler's on a different sort of path with his music. Like for him, it was always concentrating on the discographies rather than trying to get that number one single. So it's understandable why he would be on this list, but his music is way too good to be able to, not make these high numbers. Like I understand Earthquake was at number 13. That's still really nice and that's really high, but that song was a fucking banger.
Even Yonkers. How didn't Yonkers
I can understand. High? Maybe that was a
too
bit
controversial.
Too niche, I think. Like that was at a time where like he was still like branding under like Odd Future. He was still like considered in that underground mix, so I can understand how that doesn't go number one, but Earthquake definitely should have been in that conversation. But let's move on to number 8 right now, and we have A$AP Rocky. Like, if you guys have been an A$AP fan in the 2010 decade, you understood what this guy was able to do with bangers and hits. Like, it was at a time where everything Rocky was releasing, either posse cuts or even solo tracks, they were absolutely smashing it. So why do you think he's never had that number one? And what song do you think should have made that number one for him?
I think there's so many, man. I don't know why he's never gotten number one, because to me, he's given me like timeless banger songs that I bump till this day. And he really reinvented New York's whole aesthetic by bringing in this modern chopped and screwed sound. And I feel like a lot of people grabbed onto that movement. So it's shocking to not see songs like Goldie, Peso, praise the Lord.
Fucking Problem should have went up there too. Like, there's so many different tracks.
That's
that
his
should have gone
highest
number
charting one, I believe. I think that went number 8. Like, you have
That's
Drake and Kendrick and 2 Chainz featured. How is that not enough? It's a fucking timeless. Like, think about how many times we've gone clubbing and heard that in the club, bro. Like, countless fucking times.
How many times has it gone platinum? I actually have no idea. I'm gonna have to go check that out later. But it's really a different level of hit. Like, that's one of the best. Like, I think that's. Could you consider that a posse cut? Do you think you could do that?
Yeah, it is because there's 4 artists. That's kind of the minimum required. But like, it has all the makings of a hit. It has the catchy hook. It has this very hard knocking beat.
Okay,
Like,
I have a question for you. Okay. By the way, the production was done by Drake and Noah Shabib. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but this was actually supposed to be on Kendrick's GKMC. So, do you think if this was on GKMC, it would have gotten that number 1 hit? Do you think if
no? But I think if it was Drake's song and he was billed as the artist, like if it was billed as his solo song with those features, then I think it would have done it.
Okay, because this was supposed to be Made Around Nothing was the same time. So, do you think this song would have made that vibe for the album?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's a bit too rough for it.
It kind of stands on its own as a song for me.
It does, but it has like that fucking crazy aesthetic that, Long Live ASAP had. But another surprising person on this list,
shocker,
number 7, Lil Uzi Vert. Like, EXO Tour Life, come on.
Yeah,
like, that's one of the biggest songs that I've ever heard in my life. Like, everyone was bumping that. Like, there's so many different songs that you could talk about, when mentioning Lil Uzi Vert. There's so many songs that have had that success where they've gotten platinum certification. So what's the deal, bro? Like, why hasn't this guy ever gotten that number 1?
Listen, man, this song has 2 billion streams across all streaming platforms.
That's nuts.
And I just think that it's the perfect song for any mood. Like, I can listen to this for a late night drive or play it at a party too. It fits any atmosphere. And I think that what's amazing too is that Uzi just threw this on SoundCloud while he was on the Weeknd's tour, and then saw it kind of going viral on SoundCloud, put it out. So maybe if it would have had that release straight away on streaming, it could have done better. But at the same time, like, for how iconic this song was and how much it was getting played in the airwaves and all that radio play, I don't know how it didn't get it.
Yeah,
it's a fucking mystery.
It only got the number 7 on it. Like, that was a massive song. Even one that I thought that was gonna do really well was Futsal Shuffle 2000. Like, especially coming
2020.
out, but not only that, but it was him coming back and kind of presenting his whole new sound, because obviously he had problems with his label, and then once he ended up signing a deal with a sort of arrangement with Rock Nation, he puts out Futsal Shuffle, and this went absolutely nuts. And it actually ended up, what did it end up peaking at? Number 5. It ended up
highest charting for Uzi.
It went to number 5. So, fuck, man, he couldn't have just gotten that number 1.
Yeah,
like,
honestly, I'm not surprised Eternal Take didn't spawn any like big hits. I mean, I know some of them charted, I think maybe close to the top 10 of the Hot 100, but that wasn't a surpriser. But bottom line is EXO Tour Life deserved that number 1 easily.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if we'll ever have a hit as big, to be honest. But let's now move on to number 6, Juice WRLD. And this is another case where it's one song that comes to mind and you're left baffled. Like, how did Lucid Dreams not get it?
Number 2.
How did it? Yeah,
number 2.
It was right there.
Number 2. Like, what? Like,
it was stuck behind "Girls Like You" by Maroon 5. Do you even remember that song? Because I don't.
Actually, I do remember that song.
Girls,
I heard it way too many times.
How does it go?
Girls like you. No, like, yeah, I definitely.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I think I heard it too much at work,
Shit.
but I like when I was working at Costco. But yeah, I definitely somewhat remember that song. But Lucid Dreams was like, that was the hype. Like,
should have done it.
I don't know how it didn't get that number 1. Like, some of these artists just got absolutely gypped. Like, Juice WRLD should have had that number 1 with Lucid Dreams. Like, think about how accessible that song is to so many people. Think about how iconic, even the Lyrical Lemonade video is. Like, there's so many different aspects that go into this, and this is like shook, fan bases, from multiple different artists. So I think it's just a shame that he never really got that number 1. But okay, what other Juice WRLD song do you think should have maybe gone to the number 1?
Maybe Robbery. I could see that one maybe getting it. I think All Girls Are the Same is another one that's kind of really big for Juice.
Even Wishing Well maybe could have gotten that
Wishing
number 1.
Well too.
That got crazy reception when it first dropped.
Awful Legends Never Die, yeah.
there's a lot of different cases with these artists where they're like, wow, I don't understand how these don't hit as much for the, for the fan bases. But let's go into the top 5 now, and this is very fucking interesting because we have some different artists on here too. And at number 5 we have Young Thug. So he did go number 1 technically with Way Too Sexy, but he was a featured artist
Also
on it.
on Havana from Camila Cabello.
So he has like reached that number 1, but he's never had a solo track reach it. So if there is that one, which one do you think should have ended up getting there?
Listen, every big Thug fan knows that Check is his best song, in my opinion. Like, Check is everything. With That is also in that conversation, but Check should have gotten it because it's one of the best trap bangers I've ever listened to. If you listen to the different flows and cadences he has on there, and Thug is just so distinct in terms of his vocals, and it makes me mind-boggled that he hasn't been able to reach the masses in that way. He has as a featured artist, to his own credit, but the London and Hot, those make strong cases.
Those make very strong cases. Some of the biggest songs of 2019 for sure. I was looking through statistics for So Much Fun, and that album did absolute wonders for him. Like, who wasn't bumping the London when it came out? People were absolutely going crazy for that song. Even Hot. Like, I think those are edging like the 1 billion stream mark like anytime soon now. So if they haven't already been, I don't have the notes for that. So I mean, listen, it's a case with Young Thug where I think he'll get there. Do you think it'll happen with Punk real quick?
Maybe. I'm hearing rumors that there's going to be a crazy feature list for it. And by the way, this is probably coming out after Punk is released as an album. But yeah, I think that it might do it. But let's now move into number 4. And this is a fucking crime, bro. Like, I cannot believe that Nas does not have a number 1 song. And I'm holding people from the 90s who were alive in the 90s responsible for not bumping Illmatic enough. Because how do you not make songs like New York State of Mind or Halftime go number 1? Like, I would have been bumping that shit on repeat every day. And it's also crazy how a song like If I Ruled the World off of It Was Written didn't go number 1. I mean, you had the Lauryn Hill feature, which brought a great balance to the song, and Nas has been around for almost 30 fucking years, and he hasn't been able to crack it. Why do you think that is?
I think that his material is too advanced and it's too niche to be able to really reach that standpoint. Like, If I Ruled the World had that pop aesthetic because of Lauryn Hill, but for the most part, I think that Nas is so complex and advanced as a writer, and that his content material is just, it's too. I think it's the case of it's too good. I think that's what it means. It's just like it's too good that it's like it's
for
not
people to catch on to.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that's mostly it, because think about also how the Hot 100 works. Like, it's mostly quick, like little songs here and there that have that mainstream pop appeal. Like
that big push early on.
And we know that Nas's career was never centered around those types of records. Like, he was doing tracks like, New York State of Mind or I Gave You Power. Like, Nas is like, there's just too many great Nas songs that have so much quality that never really got recognized by the masses.
Closest he came was the song I Can off of God's Son, which peaked at number 12 on the Hot 100.
That's pretty good. Like, even at that, like, it took God's Son to be able to, like...
I know, and that's not even one of his, like, better songs, you know what I mean? So
that's, like, it's weird the way the list works, because you'll find certain songs that have, like, no place there, but you could kind of be like... I guess it kind of has something there to be able to do it. But let's move on to number 3 now. We're in our top 3, and let's talk about Future. This is a very strange pick. Just considering how many different slappers this guy has from over the years. Like, how did Mask Off go first? How did Fuck Up Some Commas go first? How did Where You At go first with Drake? How
Low Life?
did anything off of What a Time to Be Alive go first, by the way?
What a Time to Be Alive? No. Like, how did Jumpman go for number 1, man?
That's absolutely ridiculous. What else hasn't gone number 1 for him? Even songs like Low Life with The Weeknd, like, these are major feature artists that could carry a track and that get these types of positions.
He did get it as a featured artist on Way Too Sexy this year, which, I mean, look, to his credit, he kind of carried that song. I'll give him that. Not my favorite song at all, but at least he did get it as a featured artist. But yeah, it's surprising to not see Future here. I mean, hopefully, once the pandemic's totally over with, Mask Off could get bumped and maybe, placed into that top 1 position. But we'll have to see if that ends up happening. But let's now move into our top 2. So at number 2, we have the Queen, Nicki Minaj, man. Like, how? How is this even fucking possible?
She has over 100 million records sold worldwide, and she doesn't have a number 1. I don't know what the case is. I think it's just that her discography is so strong and her fan base too is so massive. Like that's what's ridiculous. And even if you want to look at like, you know, her label mates and Lil Wayne or Drake, like Drake has I think Drake has 23 in total, and Wayne and total has 11, if I'm not mistaken. I was doing some fact checking
in terms of top 10 hits.
And no, in terms of peaking at that number one chart.
I don't think so. I think Drake has around 8.
No, but I'm counting the featured ones too.
Oh, okay.
Because
maybe
because I'm counting like the ones, because there was like ones like I Got One and like all that type of stuff.
I think 23 is not the number, but yeah, it's probably higher than the number 8 or 9 for Drake. But speaking about Nicki, it's just so surprising because she has over 100 entries in the Billboard Hot 100, and she's the second most featured artist for that list in terms of getting the most entries. Like, she's number 2 as a female artist for the Hot 100 in terms of entries, and it's crazy to see that she hasn't gotten it. And the closest she came was with Anaconda, which peaked at number 2, and that music video went so viral. It was such a massive song, and it's shocking to see that not do, you know, that number 1. And also Super Bass.
Absolutely. You know, those are 2 absolute massive bangers. But yes, it actually is Drake with 23 and Wayne is at 11.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely. Here. Yeah.
23, wow.
23 as a whole, and I was going through them. There's a lot of different
songs. So that
songs
means he has way more as a featured artist. Interesting.
Yeah, I think he does. Well, I think it's the most case for a lot of people because usually those collaborations go crazy.
Is that including Hot 100 and Billboard 200 or just the Hot 100?
Artists with the most number 1 hot singles.
Interesting. Well, that could be for the rap charts too, because they kind of organize it in that way sometimes.
Anyways, regardless of the point, I mean, it's crazy to see how, you know, a rapper with that comes from such a great pedigree never had that number 1 single. Like, I feel bad because like her music has slapped over the years. She has she has that dedicated fan base for it, and she has the pop appeal. Like, she's able to do it all. So
and it sucks
it's kind of
that
weird.
Technically, Trolls was her first number 1, along with Say So. Like, she got 2 number 1s as a featured artist in 2020. The Say So remix was really good. Love that, but Trolls is just a joke. So she should have gotten it for other songs. But without further ado, our number 1 is J. Cole.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
J. Cole absolutely needs one. I think that he has way too many slappers.
Deserves one.
No Role Models. Like, how much is... I think that's over 6 times platinum. No Role Models is 6 times platinum.
Iconic.
What was in front of that song that went 6 times platinum as a record? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, but I think it also speaks to the point that maybe J. Cole's music takes longer to digest. Maybe it's so high in quality that it'll have that longevity factor where he'd rather go after, you know, the platinum status and have that sort of stamp on it rather than have that quick number 1 and then after that get out of the charts right away. So besides No Role Models, what are some other picks that you'd like to see on this that should have gone number 1 for you?
I think Love Yours could have maybe done it. I think Deja Vu off For Your Eyes Only. Like, that was a fucking banger. Love Yours, yeah.
It's pretty niche.
What a great message. Like, that shit relates to literally everybody.
It's quality. It's one of his best, but I don't know.
It's a song that has that pop, like, kind of approach too. So it's kind of weird to not see it go number 1. And I'll be honest with you, I really thought he was getting it with My Life on the off season. When I first heard that and I heard Moray's beautiful chorus and 21 Savage's feature, I'm like, there's no way this is not doing it.
Even Pride is the Devil should have maybe done it for him. Like,
My Life went number 2, by the way, highest charting for Cole. But yeah, Pride is the Devil also.
I was so surprised at that. How didn't Pride is the Devil do damage like that? Because everyone wants Lil Baby on their track list. We know what type of commercial success it does. I mean, you could probably end up getting a number 1 with him. We've seen it in the past, but well, no, we haven't seen it because he's only peaked at number 2 with Drake. But I mean, you know, as a featured artist. But talking about just the way that, you know, Cole has been able to shift his albums, like, there's great messages behind it, but there's some solid slappers on his albums that should be getting there.
5 number 1 albums, no features on a lot of them, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Like, he doesn't even have a Grammy for his own solo work. Like, I just feel like people need to give Cole his flowers more than they do, and that's why he's number 1 on our list.
Yeah, J. Cole should have definitely had something. Like, it's mind-blowing when a rapper of his quality is not able to crack, like, that number 1. Like, especially when you have the statistics to back it up. Like, J. Cole is a commercially successful rapper. He's one of the best in the whole world when it comes to selling out shit, and his first week numbers are impressive. You know, he's, again, another guy that sells out international tours, has platinum albums, you know, without any features. Like, his name is J. Cole. People are listening to his music. So, very surprising that he doesn't have a number 1, but let us know in the comment sections who you thought would have had a number 1 on this list, and let us know how you feel about the content, guys. Leave that in the comment sections. We always like going back and forth with you guys. Not only that, but NFR will be keeping you updated with the biggest releases of the year, so review reactions, post content, and even all these types of top 10 lists. We do it all here, so hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching through all this list, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.